Hello, how are you? You are most welcome to join us here at Westloch Fineside for our online reflection, and thank you for joining us. Today is Transfiguration Sunday, the day Jesus and some of his disciples climbed a mountaintop and had the most extraordinary experience. Not only did Jesus and his clothes turn a dazzling white, but Moses and Elijah appear before them. And then God speaks. God's own voice is heard, revealing just who their leader, Jesus Christ, was. His own beloved Son. But we're not going to read that here. You'll find that at Mark chapter 9, verses 2 to 9, if you wish to read that account. Today we hear from 2 Kings chapter 2, verses 1 to 12. Now when the Lord was about to take Elijah up to heaven by a whirlwind, Elijah and Elisha were on their way from Gilgal. Elijah said to Elisha, "Stay here, for the Lord has sent me as far as Bethel." But Elisha said, "As the Lord lives, and as you yourself live, I will not leave you." So they went down to Bethel. The company of prophets who were in Bethel came out to Elisha and said to him, "Do you know that today the Lord will take your master away from you?" And he said, "Yes, I know. Keep silent." Elijah said to him, "Elisha, stay here, for the Lord has sent me to Jericho." But he said, "As the Lord lives, and as you yourself live, I will not leave you." So they came to Jericho. The company of prophets who were in Jericho drew near to Elisha and said to him, "Do you know that today the Lord will take your master away from you?" And he answered, "Yes, I know, be silent." Then Elisha said to him, "Stay here, for the Lord has sent me to the Jordan." But he said, "As the Lord lives, and as you yourself live, I will not leave you." So the two of them went on. 50 men of the company of prophets also went and stood at some distance from them, as they were both standing by the Jordan. Then Elijah took his mantle and rolled it up and struck the water. The water was parted to the one side and to the other, until the two of them crossed on dry ground. When they had crossed, Elijah said to Elisha, "Tell me what I may do for you before I am taken from you." Elisha said, "Please let me inherit a double share of your spirit." He responded, "You have asked a hard thing. Yet if you see me as I am being taken from you, it will be granted you. If not, it will not." As they continued walking and talking, a chariot of fire and horses of fire separated the two of them, and Elijah ascended in a whirlwind into heaven. Elisha kept watching and crying out, "Father, Father, the chariots of Israel and its horsemen." But when he could no longer see him, he grasped his own clothes and tore them in 2 pieces. Amen, and praise be to God for these words. We hear now Wilf and Barbara as they perform Focus My Eyes on You. Thank you to Wilf and Barbara. Those of us who are a certain age or above will have possibly watched Prince William with an air of astonishment the other day, as this young man, who we may fondly remember as an infant in the arms of his mother, now a man very much in training for the top job, far more obviously than ever before. Most of us have been in that trainee position, as an apprentice, whether joiner or architect, student, teacher, chef, minister. But eventually our mentor leaves us to get on with it. We find here the protagonists Elijah and Elisha emulating in many ways Moses and Joshua, another mentor and pupil act. Joshua was chosen by God to replace Moses, as Elisha is to replace Elijah. In verse 9, Elisha asks for a double portion, a double share of his mentor's spirit. Here we find the traditional Jewish inheritance, the right of the heir, you might say. An ask which will be granted if Elisha is there when his master is taken up, if he is loyal to the end. Again, harking back to Moses in his parting of the water, just as the Red Sea parted for Moses and the Israelites, here the Jordan parts to allow the two to be on their way. And just as Joshua carried on Moses' work, the prophetic work is continued in Elisha. It is not affected by death or ascension, as in this case. Crucially, of course, Elijah does not die. The Jewish people waited on his return because he never died. Indeed, traditionally, a seat is kept empty for him at the Passover feast table. That's why John the Baptist was quizzed, "Are you Elijah?" But this prophetic work goes on. It is constant. Perhaps it's rarer to hear the prophetic words nowadays. Perhaps fewer choose to hear prophetic words, and perhaps fewer still are prepared to live by those words, changed by prophetic words. Amen. Will you please join me in prayer? Father, you have come to us by the great leaders of faith, by Abraham, by Moses, Elijah, and by your Son, Jesus Christ, who had the greatest authority, the word straight from you. Those who encountered those great prophets and who encountered your Son are transformed. Let us think of the ways that you transform us when we accept you into our hearts, when we open our eyes to see the brilliance, the dazzling white which lights up this dark world. Let us take that darkness into that world. Let us be beacons to those we meet, to the lost and lonely, the broken and the searching. Let us lead them to you, so each one may be transformed in your company. In your precious name we offer all our prayers. Amen. Thank you for joining us this week. We hope that you will join us again, and we look forward to welcoming you then. Until then, take care. Bye-bye.